The following public service program is brought to you by the Metropolitan Library System. And now, read about it with your host, B.J. Williams.
We have a great show lined up for you today, including an interview with Oklahoma children's author Anna Myers. But first, Pauline Rodriguez is going to talk with Doug Benton about a great book she really enjoyed.
Hello, everybody. I'm here with Pauline Rodriguez from, what department do you work in?
Catalog.
Oh, yeah, cataloging. You're the guys who put all the books on the shelves and everything, right?
We put them so you can find them.
You make it very easy then, doing it for me. You brought a book with you today that you look at called Promised the Moon. You get this title right, The Untold Story of the First Women in the Space Race. What, explaining that? I don't think of women being involved in the early part of the space race.
Well, if you remember back to the early part of the space race, which of course Doug is old enough to.
Oh yeah, I can remember ballooning. Thanks a lot. Go ahead.
The Soviets were getting men into space, getting all kinds of things happening, and the space race was hot at that time. The Cold War was going on, and the U.S. could not seem to get anything off the ground.
Right, yeah.
And one of the theories was that there was a need to lighten the capsules, and well, you know, women are generally lighter than men, so think about using women.
So they actually had women pilots at NASA?
Well, they were not actually officially part of NASA.
Oh, okay.
What happened was that the doctor who handled the medical testing for the astronauts and one of the Air Force generals, who was an expert in aviation medicine, put some women unofficially through the same testing as the astronauts. The medical testing, the isolation testing, the flight testing, everything.
Okay. Where did they come from? Who were the women that they used?
Most of them were pilots, and remember, being a woman pilot back then was also pretty tough.
Yeah.
Discrimination was not only accepted, it was legal. So these were strong, tough women, and a lot of them surprisingly had Oklahoma connections.
Oh, really?
Yes. The first woman they tested, Jerry Cobb, was born in Norman. She played softball for a team called the Sooner Queens of the National Softball League. She was living in Ponca City when they called her to come and test, and she got her 15 minutes of fame out of it because she was the first woman tested. It was written up in Life magazine. It was front page news when she came back.
Yeah.
Just really very exciting stuff. There was another woman who went to OSU because they had the premier intercollegiate flying squad in the country at that time.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either, and they still have it. And another woman was a flight instructor at OU. So there were a lot of women who had Oklahoma connections who went through this testing.
Okay, so they were tested, and then what?
Well, they were tested. Most of them passed with flying colors, and then the people who had the power to make it official basically squashed it.
Oh.
They got telegrams saying, your services are no longer required, goodbye.
Oh. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sure there's a lot more involved with this story. I guess folks are going to have to read the book to find out what it was, because we're just about out of time.
Absolutely.
Okay, Pauline, thank you. Promised the Moon by, who's the author of this?
Stephanie Nolan.
Stephanie Nolan. Thanks for bringing it by. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.
Hi, I'm Donna Morris, Executive Director of your Metropolitan Library System. You know, experts tell us it's never too early to begin reading to a child. If you spend just 20 minutes a day reading to a child, you're not only building a bond that lasts a lifetime, but you're helping that child to prepare to learn how to read. Visit us at the Metropolitan Library System and let us help you select just the right books for you and your family. And be sure and visit our website at www.metrolibrary.org.
I've got a couple of interesting books to tell Doug Benton about here. This first one is The World of Late Antiquity, and it is a number of years old, but I believe it is still in print. It's by Peter Brown, who was a renowned scholar of the classical age, meaning Rome and Greece. This book actually covers the period between 150 CE and 750, which is about the time of Charlemagne. So we start with the early years or the middle years of the Roman Empire through the complete disappearance of the Western Roman Empire. Everybody thinks, well, the Dark Ages came and, you know, the last person to leave Rome turned out the light. Well, that's not quite the case, and that's really what Peter Brown is trying to talk about, is the in some respects, a very slow disappearance of things that we think of as Roman, like the Colosseum and the study of the ancient philosophers, and what took its place, which is medieval Europe. It was not just the barbarians. Attila didn't just run in, take everything, and leave, and that was it. And at the same time, a lot of what was important about Rome, or what we consider important about Rome, was being conserved and refined in the Byzantine Empire, which, although it was attacked by barbarians at this time and later attacked by the Islamic armies coming out of Arabia, it preserved a great deal of the Roman Empire, although in Greek, not Latin. Since it was based in the eastern part of the Mediterranean, they naturally spoke Greek. And quite an interesting look at a period that most of us think was just a terrible time. It was a transforming time. Obviously terrible on occasion, but most of the time not. It was a slow deterioration of many aspects, and a change to people who were no longer interested in being a part of the leisure class. The aristocrats in the Roman Empire that would spend all day in the local library reading Cicero or Socrates, the aristocrat of 750, if he was literate, would regard it simply as something utilitarian, something that would help him with his job. He was too busy. He didn't have leisure time. And I think that was one of the big transformations, was from an aristocracy that was leisured to an aristocracy that actually expected to work to maintain its place, at least in the Western Empire. In the Eastern, there were still aristocrats going to the local library. See, I put in a plug for the
There you
library,
go.
Doug. And not enough time to talk about my other book. I will bring it up next time.
Please do.
And coming up next, we have Kids Corner. Kelly Rhea will be talking with Heidi Johnson about books for our very youngest readers.
Hi, we have a fabulous book today, and it's called How I Became a Pirate. Imagine that. Heidi, this is a beautiful book. Tell me about it.
Well, it's the story of little Jeremy, who is playing at the beach and all of a sudden sees the ship coming in, and it's filled with pirates. Ho, ho, ho. They row to shore, and he's digging trench right there, doing a sandcastle or something, and they fall in love with his digging techniques, tell him he's the world's greatest diggers and they need a man just like him. And off they go, which Jeremy thinks being a pirate is wonderful. You don't have to wash. You don't have to do anything you don't want to, except maybe scrub the deck or something. He learns how to speak pirate and
Arg.
Yes, and talks about landlubbers and the whole thing. And he doesn't have to eat vegetables because pirates don't eat vegetables. And he thinks it's just a great life, except he discovers nobody will tuck you in at night when you're trying to go to bed. Nobody will read a story to you when you go to bed. And certainly nobody will give you a good night kiss. So Jeremy has second thoughts about the pirate life after all.
He does. Well, it's beautiful, and David Shannon did the illustrations.
Correct.
He won a Caldecott for that. It's called How I Became a Pirate by Melinda Long, and I know that you'll like it. Now, you've brought another book today.
Yes, another one about adventures on the high seas, so to speak. It's called Dino Sailors by Deb Lund and illustrated by Howard Fine. On that one, it's a story in, I guess, rhyme. It reads very well as you're going along. It's a story of these dinosaurs who go off on a sailing trip, and they're stowing their dino gear and stomping with their dino feet. So it's quite nice the way the story is told. Again, they find out that maybe there is more to being on a ship than just having all the fun and the wind and the seas. They're also discovering that you can get seasick, maybe. And so they decide that maybe the sailing life is really not the ideal life for them. And at the very end, they decide to take off on a train instead. So it's a new adventure.
Well, it's really inventive, and the pictures are almost 3D. They're so much fun.
Yes, on that one picture of this huge dinosaur with a neck ring and with a life-saving equipment tied onto him is just hilarious.
Oh, well, it's great fun. Well, kids love dinosaurs. All ages of kids, of course,
That's
love
right.
dinosaurs. And I know that the adults will have a great time discussing this book with them and the
Yes.
pictures, and they'll have fun. You can find these books at your local bookstore or at your favorite library.
Thanks, Kelly and Heidi. And now, Doug, that doesn't look like a book to me.
Well, actually, this version of it is not. It's a movie, and it was based on a novel. But the film is The Manchurian Candidate. And you kind of smiled when you saw me holding this a few minutes ago, but it has been remade. It's one of the many, and it's coming out later this summer. So I thought people might be interested in taking a look at the original again, if they've seen it before, maybe not. It was out of circulation for many years. It was released in 1962, and for people who aren't familiar with the plot, some soldiers American soldiers fighting in Korea are kidnapped and brainwashed. And one of them has been brainwashed to become a political assassin back in the United States. So anyway, it's been remade, but it was out of circulation for a long time. The movie was released in 1962, and of course President Kennedy was assassinated in '63. And for a long time there was this Hollywood legend going along that the star, Frank Sinatra, who had a large financial interest in the film, had pulled it because of his relationship with President Kennedy. Now we're finding out, no, it was strictly a financial deal, a monetary disagreement that he had. But the film was not seen for many, many years and has just been back out in circulation over the last couple of years.
Now, it is something that can be checked out at the library. We do
Right.
have it on videotape.
Yeah, so we have several copies of it floating around in the library system. And you better get on a reserve list right away, because apparently there is a lot of interest in the film again because of the remake.
Well, they're probably working on the assumption that the first time is usually the better one, so they want to get in and see the good one before they go see the flop.
Yeah, the second one has a nice pedigree. Denzel Washington is starring in the Frank Sinatra role. And it's being directed by Jonathan Demme, who made Silence of the Lambs. He hasn't had hits since then, but there is a good, solid background. I'll be curious to see if the new film is as satirically sharp-edged as the original was. The original, of course, based on a novel by Richard Condon, who also wrote Prizzi's Honor and Winter Kills, and was quite well known for thrillers with satirical edge to them. And the screenplay for this original film was written by George Axelrod, who was primarily an American playwright who also wrote comic films with a sharp satiric edge. 7-Year Itch, Goodbye Charlie, a couple of other things. And then when he went into films, he wrote a movie called How to Murder Your Wife. Yeah, you're smiling at that title. And a cult classic of teenage angst called Lord Love a Duck. But anyway, the Manchurian Candidate holds up, 40 years later. It's still a good film, still a good thriller.
Coming up next, we have MJ Van Deventer of the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum. She'll be talking with Joy Reed Belt about one of Joy's favorite books.
Joy, welcome. Hi. You're going to talk about The Passionate Collector. This sounds like a really fascinating book in the life of an just extraordinary man.
It is. It's a book that I got for Christmas, and it's about Roy Neuberger, and he is quite a figure on Wall Street. Had one of the most prominent investor companies, but he got interested in art in his 20s. We went to Paris and spent about 8 years in Paris when he was very young. He's 100 now.
And still collecting.
Yeah, and still collecting a little bit. But he decided when he was in Paris, he was very influenced by the Impressionists and everyone. But when he came back to the States, he decided that he would buy, no one was buying the work of contemporary living artists. And he started, and he could get things at very good prices. He would go to their studios, to their flats, and buy the art, and he built one of the foremost collections in the United States, and he's given hundreds of paintings to the Museum of Modern Art, to the Whitney, to the Met. And this is the story of his life and his collecting, and a lot of it about all the artists that we, Jasper Johns, all the artists that we know about, and also about other collectors that he met along the way. And he was kind of unique in that he didn't hire advisors. Other famous people who built art collections have usually had a consultant that did that for them. But he did all of his own research and bought all of his own artwork.
Well, now you have a gallery. Has he inspired you in any way?
Yes, and I find it really remarkable, his insights about gallery dealers and how he works with them and what a role they played in forming his eye. And so it's been very interesting to me on any number of levels. And then his particular dedication to helping young artists start out and supporting them when they need it the most.
Could you give the average person one tip about collecting?
You mean buying art?
Yes.
If you're going to buy art, you need to buy what speaks to you. You know, art is the oldest form of nonverbal communication. And when you walk in a room full of art, if there is a painting that touches you emotionally, then that's the artwork that you ought to go for. And you ought to be confident that that is the right thing for you to buy.
You're also reading the South Beach Diet.
Oh, yes, yes.
You also want to...
I have the largest collection of diet books in the world.
You also wanted to mention books on tape.
I did. I just went to Santa Fe for a week, and before I left, I checked out some books on tape from the library, and it just made the trip so much more enjoyable.
Well, that's terrific. We're glad to have you here. Thank you so much, and
You're
come
welcome.
again.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Joy and MJ. Coming up next, I had an opportunity to talk with Anna Myers, who is a noted Oklahoma children's author and winner of an Oklahoma Book Award for one of her books. I attended the book awards this year at the Petroleum Club, and I think you will enjoy what Anna had to say about Flying Blind. Anna, what inspired you to write Flying Blind?
My husband John and I made a trip to Florida and spent some time in the Everglades and heard the story of how the birds were almost wiped out. One man in the book says he killed upwards of 25,000 birds that year himself, and that's directly from research. The birds were really in danger, and they're so beautiful, and so I wanted to write about how we almost lost them.
Now, we're talking specifically about the egrets.
They were killing all kinds of birds. The egret got one feather on it during mating season, which was worth 75 cents, and that was a lot of money in 1900 in the Everglades, and so that made the egret particularly attractive. But they were killing all kinds of birds for women's hats and dresses, people coming down from New York to buy them. And I have a orphan child who has to kill the birds to live. So I wanted the reader to understand that the people who were killing the birds were not bad people. They just were doing it because it was financially profitable.
Well, now you have a very interesting character in here. Now, Ben is a young man who's grown up in a traveling medicine show, but Murphy is, can we say he's a bird of a different feather?
He is a bird of a different feather. And Murphy was inspired by a real bird, a real macaw, whose name is Murphy. He is belongs is perhaps not the right term.
Lives with?
He lives with a friend of my daughter's. And the real Murphy has an attitude, just like the Murphy in the book. The only thing that's troubling me now is that the real Murphy might find out that he's in this book and he might sue me, because he's that kind of bird.
Well, I think that comes across in this book, yeah. I think, tell him, do not read this book to Murphy.
I guess the boy with whom he lives is very proud of the fact that Murphy's in the book, but I don't want Murphy to find out.
Right. Now, you actually alternate the point of view in the book. You start off with Murphy, his point of view, and then we go to Ben, the young man, and what he is going through, and back and forth. Why did you decide to do it that way?
I was driving home to my home in Oklahoma from Arkansas, visiting my children, and I had spent some time with this Murphy, and I had no intention of letting Murphy narrate the book. And the first sentence, "The truth is the boy always got on my nerves," came into my mind, and I just knew I had to let Murphy tell part of the story.
And so he started off. He
he
actually
did.
starts off the book. I was sitting there reading it, and I thought, wait a minute. No, this is a bird. It sneaks up on you a little bit, Anna. You're very sly
I didn't
with that.
tell my editor. I didn't tell her in advance, and she told me she was quite surprised when she learned that I was telling part of the book in the voice of a bird.
Well, I think since it's dealing so much with birds, the whole idea of saving birds is the sort of the center of the story. I thought it was extremely appropriate that Murphy was able to say something about it. Now, Murphy is a very wise old bird, and he's actually the one who prompts Ben and his adopted father to travel down to Florida, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. He doesn't know exactly why, and but he feels that he needs to direct them to Florida, and they go without realizing that he's urged them to do so.
Now, Ben has other things on his mind. He's been helping the professor sell medicine for a number of years, but he wants to be a real doctor, doesn't he?
Yes, he does, and I think many young people who read this book are of the age that they have the same problems Ben has. He says that something tells the birds when to fly, and it tells them where to fly, but something tells him to fly, to break away and to be his own person, but it doesn't tell him how to do it or where to go. And I think that's the description of adolescence.
Yeah, they're at that point where, as you said, they want to fly out of the nest, and yet nobody has told them, well, you flap your wings this way and then you take off. So Ben is stumbling around a little bit. He still loves the professor very much. I don't think he loves Murphy that much. But
No, he and Murphy never got along. Murphy calls him a disgusting human creature.
Right. Well, Murphy felt that way before Ben was born,
That's
even.
right.
So I thought that was a wonderfully descriptive passage when Murphy was talking about how Ben became a part of the traveling show. You could just see the disgust sort of dripping in
right.
his voice.
And Murphy resents the fact that the professor got really excited when Ben learned to walk, and Murphy says that walking is nothing, he can fly, and no one's that excited.
Right. Yeah, there was certainly a lot of jealousy in all of that. But both Ben and Murphy end up dealing with the orphans that you mentioned earlier, a couple of kids whose parents die, and they have to find some way of supporting themselves. There weren't any orphanages in Florida at the time. There was no extended family to look after them. They were just left there in that shack in the backwoods of Florida.
That's right. And it's understandable that they turned to what they referred to as feathering, killing the birds. The birds would be killed, their skins would be ripped from their bodies, and their carcass would be left to rot under the trees with baby birds in the nests. And there were many, many people doing that.
Yeah. Now, you also talk about another historical fact in here, which was that the Audubon Society was formed to persuade women not to buy the feathers. I mean, they attacked it right at the source. Don't buy the feathers, then there's no profit in killing the birds. But they also hired people to try to stop this as well.
They hired a warden, and the only real character in this book is the warden, whose name was Story. He actually is only referred to in the book. He's already dead when the book opens. But the Audubon Society did get laws passed to stop the killing, and they sent a warden who was killed. And then my warden, who replaces him, is a fictional character.
So, did you have to do a lot of research for this?
I did quite a lot. I always do more research than I actually end up using, but I always feel, and I think most writers feel this way, we need more background knowledge than we might actually use in the book. But I did do quite a lot of reading.
Yeah. Do you have another book coming out?
I do. Next fall there will be one called Hoagie, and it is about a little boy who leads the mules on the Erie Canal, and they were called Hoagies. That was the term used for the boys.
Sounds great. I want to thank you very much, Anna, for being with us.
Thank you.
Yo, see that girl? She sets the curve in my math class. Always has her homework right. Me? I hate homework, but I gotta do it, you know? But I found out her secret. She logs on to the Metro Library website and then clicks on their homework center. I couldn't believe what they have there. Help for math, science, English, and lots of other stuff too, like encyclopedias, newspapers, magazines, even science experiments. Metro Library's Homework Center website is one-stop shopping. You can even find the phone number of the nearest library so you can renew your library books. Check it out. It's like having the resources of an entire bookstore right in your computer. And since it's from Metro Library, you know the information will be dependable and up to the minute. But hey, I gotta go and log on and get to work. From now on, I'm setting the curve.
Okay, Doug, it's Author's Almanac time. Surely
Yeah,
something
it
happened
is.
to a writer.
Well, we're going to be really morbid this week.
Oh, okay.
May 19th. We got all kinds of people are dropping dead on May 19th.
Oh dear, not all at the same time,
Not all
surely.
at the same time or the same place. In 1536, cast your mind back.
Anne Boleyn?
Anne Boleyn, very nice, very good. Yeah, you looked at my notes, didn't
Yes,
you?
I did.
Yeah, you cheated. Of course, Anne Boleyn didn't write anything. She may not have even been able to write, but she has been the subject, of course, of many books, fiction and nonfiction. I know you're getting ready to correct me here. Go ahead.
She did write. She didn't write any books, but she was extremely well educated and read and wrote in several languages.
You got to kill every joke, don't
Yes,
you?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
All right. What can you do with Strindberg? August Strindberg, 1912.
I'll let you do that one.
Okay, he was actually buried. He'd been dead for 5 days, but they finally got around to burying him.
Oh dear.
Guess why? On May 19th. Of course, Strindberg was once better known than he is now, playwright, short story writer, novelist from Sweden. He was a little on the nutty side, but that's okay.
Really?
Yeah, it really was. I was going to write a master's thesis on Strindberg, and my first reader told me, no, he's crazy. If I want to read stuff written by crazy people, that's what professional journals are for. I remember that very clearly. And May 19th, in 1935, was the death of T.E. Lawrence, better known as Lawrence of Arabia, who was both the subject of many books and the author of a very well-known book called The Seven Pillars of Wisdom.
I suspect it's better known than it is read.
Yeah, I think so. Probably is too.
It was a bit on the...
It's dry. Let's put it that way. It's really dry.
rather like the sands of, of a certain area in the world. And also the inspiration for a wonderful movie as well. Which,
Lawrence of Arabia, right.
do we have that in the library?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you can check everything out on the web. I love to say that. You can check us out on the web.
One more time. Say it one more time.
Check us out on the web.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Gotta go for 3.
www.metrolibrary.com. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you again next time.
.org.